What's going on, guys? I'm halfway. Welcome back to the channel. On this lovely, what's today, Saturday? Yeah, Jared slept for like 2. I maybe got 4 hours of sleep in the truck. First, we stopped in Deltona, Florida to pick up a rear end for my Dodge because my Dana 60 exploded. So this is a Dana 60 with the track lock and 410 gears, exactly what I needed. We got it, I mean, you see axle to axle with springs and everything. 170,000 miles for 250 bucks, yeah. So I mean, that's a pretty good deal, honestly, for this rear end. And now we are in Georgia, like right on the outskirts of Atlanta, because somebody found a Dodge that they had to have. And plus, we don't really have first-gen Dodge on the channel, and the Ram Charger is honestly junk. I mean, I hurt y'all's hearts, but it really is. We did get the motor out of the Papal truck and everything for it, so we still have plans for it. We're not even going to talk about the Ram Charger. But we did find a single cab short bed, rust-free, first-gen Dodge, full drive, 318, 727. Lifted. It's already on Swampers, isn't it? 80s paint job, sunroof, red interior, SLT, power windows, power lock. So we're 5 minutes away from the guy's house. We're gonna go ahead and go check it out and see you there. What's going on, guys? As you see, we made it back to Florida, and as you also see in the background, we have a empty trailer. So that truck was supposed to be a rust-free daily driver. I mean, Jared has talked to the guy for 2 weeks straight, different pictures, videos of running, etc., etc., etc. Turns out we get there, the tires, you can see the air in because they were absolutely so dry rotted. We checked the oil, it was milkshake, so it was either sank, blown head gasket, possibly blown intake gasket, but I doubt it'd be the intake. Our guess was the head gasket because it seemed like it was getting a little warm even sitting there idling. I did do 2 little clips of the truck that I'm going to throw in here. Well, I'm sorry, you guys have already seen it because they're going to go before this. But the truck was, I don't want to say it was a pile, but it was pretty close to it. I mean, it would be great for a weekend warrior, a mud truck, things like that. But in all honesty, it needed a lot of work, especially if it had a blown head gasket, because God knows how long it's been ran like that. If it had a cracked head, hurt the block, anything along those lines, then we would be putting a motor in it. And for the money he was asking, which was $3,500, it's not worth putting a motor in the truck. I mean, it had very minimal rust, but it did have rust. I would have filmed more there and shown more about it, but he wasn't too pleased about us filming on his property when we asked. Sorry, it's like 90 degrees outside. But I did get my rear end, so let's walk over here and check out the progress on this. Yes, sir. About to put some 12-inch blocks in the back. Let old girl sit like this, make it like a race car, son. Oh, let's check out the masterpiece. Well, I pressure washed it at the car wash, but you can see how bad the pinion was letting go. I mean, absolutely everything. It's covered in gear oil, and the whole underside of the truck smells like burnt gear oil. I mean, it's hard to tell on video. Maybe I can pick it up. Now you see the pinion bouncing in and out. I'm pretty sure it let carrier bearings go. After I started messing with the front end and slapping it back together, we made it to not even a quarter of a mile away from my dad's house, and the rear end also went and the speedo quit working because that's the speed sensor right here on these 01 trucks. But like in the beginning of the video, we went ahead and got a true track Dana 60 with 410 gears, which that's what this truck is. The front end is still blown up because the limited slip carrier I bought for it actually has the wrong spider gears. It would be along the lines for like a 97, so I did order spider gears from my carrier so I can throw my carrier back in it. And that's if I decide to. In all honesty, I might just go ahead and buy a 355 front and run in it. I mean, 410s in the back, 355s in the front, that's not too big of a deal. I don't take this truck to the woods. It's not a mud truck. If I get into a situation, that's enough for me to lock it in because, as you guys know, 90% of the diesel trucks come with 355s or 354s because it's better, I guess you could say, in the diesel trucks for highway speeds and etc. like that, because they don't wrap high RPMs like a gas motor would. But I'm gonna go ahead, get on the tractor, unload this rear end. I'm by myself filming today, guys, so I'm gonna try my best. All right, so I went ahead and got the old rear end pulled out of place. Sorry, I'm trying to catch my breath, guys. I did buy leaf springs with the rear end because my leaf springs, when the lift kit was done on the truck, I think me and my dad put 1 or 2 add-a-leafs in it, and the back rides beyond rough. And I mean, the stock 2500 springs are plenty enough to handle for anything I pull. So I did buy leaf springs off the other rear end, but the issue is that I'm having now, unless I torch a hole in it, let me see if I can't flip this camera around real quick and I'll show you. So like I said, the issue I'm having is where this pipe bumper is mounted, it won't let this bolt come out of the rear shackle unless I torch a hole in it, and I really don't necessarily want to do that right now. So I'm honestly just going to slide the rear end under this thing, get it bolted into place, just because of the fact of it's Sunday, it's already like 2 o'clock right now, and I have to be up and go to work tomorrow, and I do drive this back and forth to work, so I really need it back on the road as soon as possible. So yes, I do know I picked the rear end upside down. Yes, it's probably leaking fluid out as we speak, but like I said, I want to go through this rear end, put fresh fluid in it and everything else. But I also wanted it upside down so I could bust these loose so the leaf springs come off the truck. I do have to pull the tires off. As you see, the caliper's missing on this one. Who knows what the brakes look like. The rotors do look like they're a little chewed up. Mine are actually in good shape, so I'm going to put the jack under my rear end, pull all the brakes off mine, and put onto this one. Also change the fluids and everything else before it actually physically goes into the truck. As you can see, I already got one side of my old rear end torn down. And it's like every seal on the rear end was bad. It was just pissing gear oil at every orifice, and it was grinding like crazy going down the road. So I went ahead, took this rear end completely apart. As you see, the one side's still together over here. I have this side put back together with the brake line, caliper, bracket, rotor, and as you see, my rotors are in great shape in my pads. I don't know if you could see down in there, but they're nearly new. Things like this, I usually actually go buy new brake pads and put them on, but I know the pads on this probably only have 2,000 miles on it, so it's not worth the money to waste to put new brake pads on it when all the stuff's practically new, including the rotors, even though they're a little rusty. Like I said, the truck had a lot of work done, but it was sitting for a long period of time. So we'll go over here and check this side out. And as you see, these right here are the inside, like a drum for the inside of the rotors, and that controls your parking brake on these Dana 60s for these Dodges. And that's plenty enough life for me. I mean, I don't drive with the parking brake on. I hardly use it. We live in Florida. It's flat ground nearly everywhere. The only time I use it is when I'm actually pulling a trailer, which is hardly ever. So those pads will be plenty enough to hold it. So I'm gonna go ahead, tear that side of the rear end apart, put it together on this side, and get it slammed under the truck. Old rear end is officially all torn apart. Man, that is just terrible. See if I can't show you a little better. And there's still no axle play. That's how much play is in the rear end. And you can see it wiggling in and out a little bit. I think the pinion and carrier bearings are all just kind of done. The new rear end is officially under the truck. It's sitting back on its own weight. As you guys know, I use the chain fall, an old trusty dusty tree. Shocks are connected. Brake lines are ran. Speed sensors back connected. Parking brakes hooked up. I left this disconnected right now because as you see, the vent, the cap that goes on the top's missing. So I'm gonna try to find one around the yard or go to the auto parts store and see if they don't have one. Now I just got done, Been up and down way too many times a day. I just got done tightening and adjusting the parking brake, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit it inside the truck and see if she's grabbing. Oh, straight to the floor. Might need to tighten a little more up into it. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's still not enough. It's barely pulling on it. Well, I guess it's pulling on it a little bit. Yeah, the other side's working too, so. I'm gonna tighten it a little more up. No, the pinion's not leaking. That's just all PB Blaster, because these were real rusty. So I wanted to spray PB Blaster in them before I impacted them in, so that way I could avoid cross-threading. The good stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and make a phone call to one of my buddies and see if he can't run by and help me bleed the brakes. All right, guys, we're going on a little bit of a test ride. Yes, I know it says it doesn't have oil pressure. I have it all on a manual gauge. As you see, I'm holding almost 50 pounds at an idle. The reason why it's like that is because when this motor went in, it wasn't building oil pressure. The brand new Millions high volume oil pump actually exploded. I had to put the stock one back in, but she's shifting, speedo's working, everything's working as it should. So we'll go up here and try to give her a little bit of catch up and see what she'll do. In lovely fashion, even though the rear end was bad, the rattling wasn't actually the drive shaft nor the rear end, even though it was slap worn out. You can look in there. That's the back of the transmission broken off. And the transfer case is holding on by Lord knows what, so. Oh man, that's not what I needed right now. But I believe that's just an intermediate piece between those two, so I should be able to find another intermediate piece to bolt onto the transmission, so that way it'll be okay again. I can only hope, because the transmission's perfectly fine in this truck, and I'd really rather not rebuild the transmission due to it just being cracked. As you see, I limped it back to the house. I believe that's the overdrive unit on the back of the transmission, so more or less the transmission is going to have to be rebuilt. But if I remember correctly, I believe I have one of those transmissions. I don't know if it's a 47 though. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is the old barn, guys. This is where things get thrown that need to be out of the weather or just need to be put up. Just wanted to give you guys a look of the things. Oh, some stuff in there. Look at the things I go through, try to find parts or whatever we're doing, and this is why we set up time lapses. And that transmission used to sit right here on the bench. Lord knows where that went. More or less, it's gonna have to go to a transmission shop, because I'm not sure what's all entailed to pull that overdrive unit off the back of the transmission. I really hope it doesn't have to come out of the truck, but worst comes to worst, it'll go to total transmission, Yvonne's shop, where I've taken things in the past, like my white GMC and whatever else I've brought over there. But actually, let's go ahead and walk over here. Yes, I know the yard looks terrible. Like all this stuff over here usually gets coated in Roundup. Let's see. Transfer case. Chevrolet 700R4. Yep, guys, I really don't know what happened to that transmission. And to be completely honest, it might have got scrapped, because I haven't seen it in probably 8 years. On that note, I'm halfway. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and keep up with my everyday problems that I've been having here lately, and all the projects we got on the channel that are actually making progress. I'll catch you guys on the next one.